Weights will go on. They need to line out some territory and to give Holly Davidson less of an arm workout. Over in the green corner, Andy Farrell is 120 minutes away from officially handing the keys to his Irish juggernaut over to Simon Easterby. He will have learned an awful lot about his young fly half, Sam Prendergast, and his two debutants in the forward pack. Can they keep their foot flat to the floor in this second 40? Can they continue to twist the knife?
Not now, thank you, 4.
And hold these flying Fijians tryless in Dublin.
Okay, use it, 9.
We lost Lamani early doors, so it is Matawalu wearing 21 who lifts up a vertiginous effort. Well gathered by Frawley, well clattered by his opposite number. Gus McCarthy laying it back onto Prendergast, and here is Bundiaki, who has had an industrious opening 40. Stockdale back stalking the left wing of the Aviva. Oh, and a lovely line from Tyke Byrne-Porter. The little pop-up onto his locking partner. Here now, Frawley swerving, scanning, setting his options. Clear out needs to come, bodies flying over and around the ruck. Casey onto Prendergast, whose pinpoint kick found Hansen in the dying seconds of that first passage of play. Growing in confidence, shrugging off that early yellow card. Here he is again. Delays the pass onto Doris and then gathers and off he sets. Henshaw back in field to Doris, eyes alight with opportunity, but nobody there for the offload. So in off his wing comes Hansen and then Byrne. Casey onto Prendergast, options outlet, Stockdale, the thoroughbred roaring up that touchline.
First clear.
Huge from Fiji on the deck.
Oh, I'd love to get another look at this. First of all, it was Tyke Byrne with the break through the midfield. No one knew actually who had it for a second. I don't even know if he knew he was in possession of it. That was really good play from Ireland. They went from side to side, held on to possession through multiple phases, although equally matched by the Fijian defence, and then, I don't know, questionable access into the ruck by the Fijian jackler. Whether he came through the gate or not, I'm not sure, but Holly Davidson thought it was clean enough to award the penalty.
Something I've noticed in that passage of play there was every time Prendergast got the ball, he got into a kicking shape and looked towards the touchline. I think what he's trying to do is force that wide defender in the outside centre channel to start worrying about the crossfield kick and then going. We saw a couple of times Ireland then choosing the passing game and trying to attack into that channel where he's tried to maybe just open some of those gaps in the defensive line.
Okay, Fiji in front, hold, wait there. Good.
Pragmatism ruling for Fiji, who opt to send that line out short for the first time today, and it sticks. They need some stability in that area, but more immediately they need to settle into their defensive shapes, because Ireland has been making a mockery of it these first few minutes of the second half.
Not for me.
Prendergast is down and clutching his head. Beg your pardon.
Time off.
Frawley.
Might got a stray boot or knee
Injury here.
while he was on the floor.
Let us do our job.
Whose ball is that? Is that ours?
Just give us some space, thank you.
Oh, tackle.
It's Maui's head as they land on the floor together. Foul play in there.
You could hear Davidson there, just asking Caelan Doris to back away, to leave them to do their jobs. It's hard to believe this is just Doris's 5th time as Ireland captain. It does feel as though he's been in the role for a while. Your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, he's been a leader in the team, there's no doubt. You know, since becoming a regular 18 months ago, 2 years ago, more often than not in that period of time being right up there as one of Ireland's best players.
We have no knock-on, so
and then
Ireland last in possession.
when you have all of the components that offer good leadership. He seemed like the obvious choice.
Last possession when I stop for a head.
But it doesn't mean that he has all the answers just yet.
Yeah.
Just understanding when to have a little conversation with the referee, when not to push too far. He had
Time back on, please.
a bit of difficulty with that during the summer, where the referees, I think Luke Pearce was one, told him, leave me alone, let me do my job. And I think that's just air miles, that's just experience of knowing
Let's go, guys.
when you can push things, when you have your quiet word,
This is the mark.
and when you just keep your mouth shut and get on with it.
And it's it.
And leaders all around him too. We've got all 4 provincial skippers in the match day 23 today. Ty Burney and Henderson, Kian Prendergast. Plenty of voices to call upon.
Crouch! Bind!
You get a square scrum, we'll come to this right-hand side
Set!
with 2.5 defenders over Frawley, become first receiver. I don't know why I ever talk about it when it's a scrum. We almost never get to see what the backline attack looks like. Maybe we'll get a solid scrum this time, but
Shoulders up. Better bind.
served perfectly for Frawley, who's in the pocket, just to come in as a first receiver.
In and set.
Maybe someone like Henshaw running a short line to commit the defenders on the inside. Munz. And then go out the back.
Better
Taking
height.
a while to reset this scrum. Let's hope with that
Bind!
you can get that solid platform now.
Set!
Phelan will try and do his job of getting that right-hand side up. He continues to drive.
The speed of service from Casey there, and then the offload from Henshaw, still falling but keeping that liquid rugby upfield from Ireland. Archie shaping for the pass, but instead opting to head up the guts of the Fijian defence. Flat from Hansen. Everyone around Frawley there pointing upfield. Kick it was the call.
Just saw how Hansen there drifted on the pass towards the touchline, allowed the flight of the ball to take him out, which means that Nyatha-Lebu, who's outside him, has to then step back inside. Kick wasn't particularly good.
Number 1.
So they loop round this side.
It's actually Henshaw
Sorry,
is the
they
one
do it later
that,
as well.
that bounces out. Actually does really well because it's not a great pass. It's stuck inside shoulder, but he still manages to hold it and get the offload to a trailing Frawley.
And this is the one that he drifts on. You see Nyatha-Lebu then has to stay, and that creates the space in the wide channel. So really trying to manipulate Nyatha-Lebu all game, Ireland. Just make it really difficult. He knows they've got the option of going wide with a kicking game or a long pass, so he doesn't want to leave too much room in that outside channel.
5 man.
And just trying to pick and choose when they play slightly tighter in the gap inside him and when they go outside him.
Debutant Gus McCarthy, Ireland's youngest starting hooker in 77 years. Finding Archie on one of those trademark rampaging runs, brings them to within 15. Beelan adding another couple of hard-earned yards. And here's Archie laying it back onto Prendergast. Looks surprised to find himself receiving that one. Is a Chukwu onto Casey. All the tricks coming out of the Irish box. And there we were talking about Fijian flair. Ireland have razzmatazz of their own if this score will stand.
Holly Davison needs to check it because she got taken out. Did really well to get back to her feet.
I have missed what's happened, but...
But she said I face planted. I didn't actually see that final pass.
Okay, Mike, I've been taken out, so I've just missed what's happened behind me. I have a grounding, so my on-field decision is try. Can we just make sure that there is no obstruction prior to the try being scored?
Decision try, checking for obstruction prior to
Casey.
try.
Really good play from the scrum half.
Mike.
I think there's a little bit of self-preservation in it because he knows he's going to get absolutely whacked if he holds on to it for any longer than he does. It's actually not a very good launch play, but they make the most of it. The ball comes in off the touchline, and it's this little offload as Holly Davison is taken out.
I think it's Holly Davison that provides the obstruction. I don't think anyone else
Okay,
does.
Holly.
Mikey, you say
Really good decoy line from the
do
ref.
I create that hole?
Misake Vote Vote is
Okay, you can
6'6".
stick with your on-field decision of try, no obstruction.
Okay. Try is good.
She rode that well, did Holly? Well, the try will stand. despite the best of structure work of our Scottish referee. And what a try it was.
What a carry from Aki. That extra leg drive just gives you so much. Then Mac Hansen does really well to control his feet, keep the move alive as they come back to the other side. Aki, with that initial break, finishes off the opportunity he creates.
Three from three on his starting debut. Sam Prendergast, believe the height, 4 from 4. And if a theme of Ireland's autumn has been bounce-back ability, coming out for a 7th time to follow a loss with a win against Argentina, then Bunzi Aki being dropped from the matchday 23 entirely has provided that with aplomb this afternoon. Been everywhere. Two changes to bring you up to speed with, but hold it a second because there's another bit of speed to contend with. Aki still blowing from that scores, made 20 metres in the blink of an eye, laid back lightning quick again from Byrne.
Inside the 50.
There's a real confidence about Ireland all of a sudden.
Very close to a 50-22. Craig Casey realised he was just inside his half. Perfect opportunity to try and ping one over. Fijian winger Muntz was the one.
How good's this pass from Prendergast? Look how he buys himself time by drifting away from the defender, almost inviting him to bite out of the line, and then throws the ball, flashes it across the face. Beautiful delivery, Aki. Perfect, doesn't have to break stride.
Bit of housekeeping for you. Thomas Clarkson is on wearing 18, who made his debut. A crazy and surreal debut, he said, against Los Pumas last weekend. And Cian Prendergast is on wearing number 20. Connacht captain at just the age of 24. And eager to make some headlines of his own after his baby brother's been the one owning all the column inches in the week.
Time back on, please.
Darkening in Dublin, but the rugby is really starting to cook at the Aviva. Some swagger back in Irish attacking patterns. Izuchukwu down and onto Casey. Aki finding Doris. This is lovely stuff. Look at them fly off of the pitch. Hansen has it with one to be driven into touch. Had to be made by Kitioni Salawa.
It went back and then forward.
But they are threatening again and again and again now.
Yeah, Ireland are beginning to click. They're just getting their timing right now.
No.
Pass is being given at the right time.
Guys, we've got people
But
down.
let me tell you, this is wicked defence as well. Mac Hansen thinking, oh, I think I can gas him. I've got him, and getting absolutely smashed. Well done, Jacob Stockdale. Lovely offload. And again, Frawley, that's top class.
It's brilliant
back row
from
defence.
It's the way he slows down here to stop the step back inside. He can't be stepped inside. Hansen goes, I've got to go for it now. And then he re-accelerates, puts him into touch. Textbook defended.
It's also the force of the collision when you're on the reach. Only the Fijians can do that. You see it in sevens the whole time. When it's almost like the player's beaten, but then they annihilate them in the collision too. It's such a difficult skill, but it just shows their power.
Jacob
Stockdale is off, battered in that final tackle, and you can see writ large on his face the frustration after the tough time he has had with injury over the last few years. So on comes Conor Murray for his 120th cap in emerald green. Involved in so many of Ireland's finest days, and the British and Irish and Lions too. We're talking about Fijian tackles. Take your pick. There have been so many this afternoon. But Ireland still have the ball. It's a pinwheeling Stuart McCloskey, who's carried up over the 10-metre line. Cian Prendergast finding Gus McCarthy. Youngster onto youngster. But what an extra cheeky roll.
Just hides the ball, doesn't he, from the Jackler coming in. What a hit from Tuisova. There's a moment in there just before contact's made, where Frawley realises he's made a mistake by holding on to the ball. You can probably hear the breath of Joshua Tursova on his back.
Yep.
The danger with those hits is that if you're a fraction off, you find yourself in the bin, yellow or red card. But this guy has gotten them spot on today. There's been no shortage of them across the board. Frawley's been on the receiving end a couple of times. At Frenison, he's bounced up and played on, but Tuisova, Olympic medalist in Rio 2016, Fiji's first medal ever at the Olympics. He was a huge part of that. He's just gone from a couple of different French clubs. Comfortably plays almost right across the back line, but it seems as though centre in the national team, he's made his own.
Saying about if you time that wrong, you're in trouble, but by hitting above the centre of gravity, they're the hits that make the feet go up. Hugely dominant.
We've not seen Fiji play for quite some time, and it looks like we've probably starved of it again because Ireland are making a mess of this attacking foray. Gus McCarthy driving Monts back. But a knock-on in the process. Fiji will feed. And with some fresh forwards involved too, because Sam Matavesi, formerly of Northampton, now of Lyon, is on, wearing 16. And we've already met Hairati Hetat, formerly of Otorunga, but he is on now at Loosehead. So fresh legs.
That's it.
Ian Henderson is with us too.
Hey guys, in it's it.
Fresh off signing a new 2-year deal with his home province, I should say, and up in Ulster. There's question marks as to whether he was going to sign on the dotted line. He's been such an important player for them. Stability, and indeed for this Ireland team. Again, you talk about Conor Murray being around for a lot of the successful days. Well, certainly Henderson has also had many big days in green.
Interesting penalty goes against Tom O'Toole. Seeing him on the loose head side, he plays most of his rugby on the tight head, but I think he's realised how well stocked Ireland are in that tight head position and just thinks there might be opportunity, so he's keen to develop himself as one of those props, a little bit like Thomas Dutoit, who can cover both sides.
On the line, guys.
And this is his first shot in anger in green on that loose head side. Not the start he would have wanted, giving away a first penalty, but very valuable experience for him as he looks to make that transition across.
Caught up with Massive AC with the ball here in the week. Said that they were absolutely confident they had what it took, this Fijian side. It was just a case of keeping 15 on the pitch, getting their game on the park too. They have struggled in both of those departments for 50 minutes.
Gone straight back onto the ball carrier.
There's a little juggle from Fiji there, very lucky to hold possession.
And gone straight back onto the ball carrier.
Right before the infringement, regathered it.
Guys,
gives them another shot.
He breaks the 15, can I break it as well? If they break it.
Just right middle.
The overwhelming sense, though, from the conversation with this man here was of excitement. This is a group bolstered in no small way by the creation of the Ndrua. They've got their sights set on the Nations Cup spot. Kellen Doris had his sights set on Joshua Tuisova, but rising with it is Elia Kanakaivata. Here Mayana Vanua, and at last we see Fiji threatening an Irish try line, which has been all on its lonesome at the Aviva. No attention for swathes of this fixture, but now Matavesi carries hard. Now they find Hetat. Stuart McCloskey in and over the top of that one.
Just need to make sure they resource the breakdown. Might not need it.
Might not need it. There's the stretch. There is the score. And it's a brilliant burst from the base by Kitioni Salawa, who's made a try-saving tackle up the other end of the pitch a few minutes ago, and now there he is, banging over Fiji's first.
Well, they were a bit short of bodies. Here's the initial line-out play over the top. The line-out coaches not been having the best day today, but shot on Tuisova, but as they come, Ireland too wide defensively. Maybe Fiji not having too many numbers in the breakdown. They felt comfortable in. Henderson goes in to counter up when really he should have gone into that pillar position to the left of the breakdown. Saloa spots it, just drives for the line and then has the length of reach to get the ball over.
A hat-trick against Samoa in their defence of their Pacific Nations crown. And now a score converted by Muntz at the Aviva for the super-sized menace. That is Kitione Salawa.
Yes, McCluskey is grappling, thinking that he can counter the ruck, when in fact he was needed in that defensive guard position. McCarthy was caught just a little bit too wide, thinking that one of his pack was going to fill in there. And that's where Fijian number 7 took advantage.
Backwards. It was a knock on. Sorry guys, live I thought backwards. Knock on.
As that player trying to clear up the scraps when the ball's touched at the last minute. Fiji knock it on.
Tight, guys. Keep the shoulders up on the set.
Okay, miss.
That's going to be the mark.
So Tom O'Toole in his first professional senior appearance at Loosehead. Tapping and plying down.
Crouch!
This Fijian scrum who had the upper hand at their last encounter.
Set!
Casey feeds. Doris rises and swerving around the corner. Tackle in by Matawalu. And the counter-ruck is voracious.
Counter-ruck is good. There's the ball. No, no! Hands away. You're on the ground.
Too tempting. Hand already in the cookie jar. Wasn't going to let go of it. Ireland were a little bit short themselves in the breakdown there. Bundy Aki did a really good job of swinging his hips round, having expected some green shirts to follow him in on the clear out.
Guys, the line's going to be yours.
From Doris.
On the line.
Watch Aki here, goes past, realises as Tuisoba backed off and then he got his hips round, but yeah, referee had said leave it. Botha couldn't.
Gus McCarthy again pinpoint is really starting to find his feet now as Archie digs in both of his. Burn virtually omnipresent on the flank against the Kiwis, and the RGs are now in the second row and doing plenty of damage there too. Miklovsky's first carry of this one.
He's lucky to get away with that. He got stuck on his back, turtled. Ball there for the taking. The Fijian players was on it for a while, but not long enough for Holly Davidson to penalise.
Patient play here from the Irish, safe in the knowledge that we've got a healthy buffer here. And now Frawley with the 2-on-1, juggled. But another forward pass. Someone's got to tell the Aviva.
It's frustrating, but look at this from Sam Prendergast. That's what he has, the ability to just hold those passes that little bit longer and then whip it. It's another try gone a begging. Oh, painful. Very, very frustrating. Particularly a guy that is trying to make up for the last time. You want to make sure you convert those ones. It's a basic enough 2-on-1. Even for an elder statesman, he's going to have the capacity to finish that. Scrum half on the wing.
Yeah, more Fijian cavalry arriving onto the field. Albert Tuasua, who fans of the Gallagher Premiership will know from his exploits at London Irish and at Gloucester, is on. And that young man there, Setareki Torangafoke, who scored on debut at the age of just 18 against Spain last week. He's played 74 minutes of senior rugby at Stade Francais. He's so newly introduced to this arena.
Much better height on that last one, okay? Same
He's
now
been
it's their
pulling
ball.
up trees well ahead of schedule. Keep an eye on the man wearing 19. Nick Byrne rightfully very excited by the towering Tyro straight into that scrum.
Crouch! Bind! Set! One collapse.
Fiji starting to get a real edge on this particular set piece.
Collapse.
Another one goes against Tom O'Toole on that far side. Wants to have a look at the replay, wants to see what he did
Collapse
wrong.
another set, Tom.
Where is David Flatman when you need him? How difficult is it switching sides, Ben? In your experience, how often
Guys, on the line, please.
midway through a fairly successful career do athletes make that switch?
Look, it depends on opportunity as well, doesn't it? If you do all the sets in a scrum session, you know, he will have been training with Ireland in that position plenty until you put it into the heat of the test match when you're running around doing other things as well. But every one of those scrums is a learning process for him. He'll get better and better and better, and then he'll become a viable option for Andy Farrell.
Running out of bodies on that far touchline. It's a delicate dab over the top from Hansen and Wainigolo. Met by a trio of tackles. It's McCloskey's which sticks eventually.
Okay, 9, use it!
Ireland have spent 9% of this match in their own 22. That is how much they have dominated territory. And Fiji clawing back 20 metres there.
On the line, Matt.
The ball handling from Ireland has been much better in the second half. Even when it hasn't been perfect, or the plays haven't gone exactly to plan,
Guys,
there's been
off. It's a substitution.
great speed of thought,
13,
ability to stay on side,
Yeah,
move the
off,
ball
guys.
quickly when those Fijian defenders have been committed. The whole thing about changing the point of contact is creating a disorganised defence. When you don't know where the ruck is going to be, you can't set the line, you can't get organised, get your bigger men in close to the ruck, faster men out wide, and that's when broken field play, mismatches come into their own. Ireland have managed to convert a couple of times, maybe not as many as they would have liked because there's been more scores gone a-begging, but much better in the second half, much more clarity and crispness to what they've been about.
Well, if chaos is what Fiji needs, and they've brought on the man perfectly suited to doing that. Vilimoni Mbotitu plays his club rugby for Cast, but he's an Olympic gold medalist. Bringing him on at this stage is the equivalent of dropping a mint into a bottle of Pepsi. It just fizzes. Brings a different dynamic into the midfield for a Fijian side in desperate need of a bit of go forward. Other brands of soft drink are available. A confident arcing throw from Gus McCarthy, who sets across field because that's the way that all the green jerseys are flooding. Prendergast with the little dab through has to be salvaged by a scurrying Munster.
I think he forgot who his winger was for a second. It wasn't Jacob Stockdale anymore, it was 35-year-old Conor Murray. In fairness to him, he was staying alive for the pass. Very hard to hedge your bets and expect to have the wheels with a cover defence like we saw, but nice option.
Bundiaki with his 15th carry of this one. Looking good for a week off. Prendergast up and on to Frawley. And Casey still with us. He'll go the distance now with Murray out on the wing. Prendergast again back in field. 1-2 between the halfbacks. One-armed gather by Hansen already with a try. Switching the point of attack are Ireland, and McCloskey shapes for the offload. Big paw raised and then tucks back in again. Prendergast plays scrum half. Casey plays quarterback. Batted back in field.
Tackle.
Knew that it was penalty
Early
advantage.
tackle.
Wasn't the world's best option from Casey, but knew he could come back to an opportunity to kick it into the corner. Yeah, just heat pressure. It's been a while since Ireland have gotten their last score. They spent an awful long time down in this Fijian 22 without much reward. Time to put all that pressure into points.
Henderson's ball smuggled backwards and onto the 21-year-old hooker, Casey. Stands behind this emerald tractor which rumbles over. And after a whole heap of huffing and puffing, Ireland have another through their debutant. Gus McCarthy with his first points in international rugby.
Well, bar a couple of poor throws, he's been really good today, McCarthy. A little bit lucky here. You see Burns step out of the line-out to wait and then hit in with his power from outside the line-out. Last year, the referees were really hot on that, not allowing it at all. This year, it's one of those things that's just drifted away a little bit again, and Ireland's driving play has been superb. This time, they don't need to break out until right at the last minute. Stay straight and then just rotate the back man in McCarthy round, and as soon as he sees that line, buries his head towards it.
Prendergast and McCarthy were lifting the under-20 Six Nations trophy together. Now here they are, combining for 7 shimmering points before a sold-out Aviva. And McCarthy only initially brought into camp as a training panellist. You think there's a pecking order, Andy Farrell said in the week, and then someone like that goes and forces your hand. Months back against the grain with a slaloming run, a beautiful offload. He's found the teenager. Well, sometimes you don't need experience when you're just that good. 2 caps, 2 tries. Setarangi Turangathoke. Remember the name.
Well, this one is all about Caleb Muntz. We saw his broken field running against Wales a few weeks ago.
Sorry?
That is an absolutely sumptuous offload. Sucks in all the defenders, has the footwork to go against the grain, and just as he's going to the ground in true Fijian form, just leaves the ball up, knowing there was going to be a support player. And sure enough, the sumptuous offload is hit with a beautiful attacking line. Great score from Fiji.
Who was it?
The big Fijian replacement. Turangathoke.
Absolutely brilliant, as you said, that footwork back inside, but it's just that delay and the hold of the ball in the right hand just to pull Prendergast in. Prendergast lucky he doesn't catch him in the head as he goes over. And as you said, brilliant slide in from Turangathoke. Oh, not matched by Tirasova's kicker.
High tackle.
It's back-to-back knock-ons from the restart by Tirasova. Joe McCarthy, the grateful recipient of that one in Ireland, straight back into the mix.
Tackle Fiji!
They've retaliated and scored almost immediately after Fiji's scores so far.
That's 3 in a row, you've dived over the rock.
And that will hardly help matters.
You still can't dive over the rock. Off we go. Yeah. It's going to be up here.
Wow.
Good, guys.
Hero to Villa very, very quickly. Shame for him, but can't just jump over the top of a rock and tackle the 9, even though the ball's lifted. You have to stay on your feet.
Quick
guys, let's go.
Opportunity from the playbook. What variation will we see this time round?
Gus McCarthy still going with a little no-look pass onto his captain.
Exactly the same move as Van der Fleer scored off before. The ball didn't come this time to Prendergast.
Clinging desperately to Archie's ankles there was Muntz. Look at them queuing up for it. It's a battering run from Thomas Clarkson. Hauled down just short. Henderson now with O'Toole in support. Back they go. Hansen for the double!
Oh, it's really well taken, isn't it, from Hansen? They get Fiji as narrow as they can, but still, Nakavata is the penalty, the dive over the top. And then
Thank you.
just watch the line here to drift on the pass again from Hansen. Nakavata maybe just guilty at looking a little bit too long at Craig Casey. Not looking up at the man who was opposite him, who drifted out.
Thanks, Mike.
And just bought himself enough room in that wide channel.
Huge credit to Cian Prendergast as well, who runs a really, really tidy line. And actually, if you see how many eyeballs are fixed on him, so many of them think that he's going to get the ball. We've seen Gibson Park so often finding his winger from rough positions. But look at this line from Cian Prendergast. There's a couple of phases on. I think it's a couple of phases after that. Mightn't get a chance to see it.
He's played the ball.
It was the first blot on Prendergast's copybook when it comes to tea time. Conversion just pulled a little bit wide. With 47 at 17, Ireland knocking on the door of the half-century. Fiji's penalty count now 16.
Yeah, but you still dived on an emerging ball from the rock.
Can't dive on a ball within a metre radius of the ruck. Just getting caught on every little law, aren't they, Fiji, at the moment around this ruck. Diving over the top, diving on a ball that squirts out of it.
Thank you.
Over 10 metres, 53 passes, just show the width that Ireland have played it, particularly second half. It's really opened up as Fijian defence narrowed. They've gone to the wide game, really exploiting it.
Matt Hansen and Conor Murray just swapping roles so that Matt Hansen can run the slightly more difficult roll off the back of the line out here.
Prendergast and onto Casey. Here's the other Prendergast, and now Archie's still going. Beats one, thunders over the top of the other. He's over the whitewash. If he's got that down, oh, referee says no. Carried half of Fiji with him, Bundiaki.
The pace he was backpedaling at as he goes over the line, you knew he was going to find it difficult to find the ball, but that option out of the back and the step on Muntz is really good. Then the power, and now they've got him. Actually, it's really good defence, the way they hold him in that backwards position. Bundiaki is fighting with all his life to try and spin round before he crosses the whitewash. He knows he's compromised, and they just let him keep coming. They let the Irish boys drive him over and then hold him up. Good defence in the end.
Casey. Switch finding Hansen on that inside shoulder, looking for soft Fijian shoulders, but none of those exist on this occasion. Prendergast whipping it. Slightly flat and slightly dipping. McCloskey from that great height can't catch.
We've seen a couple of great passes from Prendergast. That one didn't match them. Actually just needed simplicity. I think it was through the hands. Was going to do the job rather than trying to find the
on the hip,
Hail Mary pass
your shoulders dropping below your
forward
hips. That's what me and my AR are seeing at the moment.
To make it even worse. Not a good shot selection.
Don't collapse it.
Oh, he's got two decent runners there in Henderson, and O'Toole doesn't have to go to the wide man. He's played himself well into the second half. It hasn't been without error, but he's grown in confidence, and we've seen certain attributes that have gotten them to this place as a starting number 10 at a very young age. It'll be better for this experience.
Crouch! Bind! Set! Stay there. Onside 9, onside.
Matawali just looking to draw Casey in there. Tuisova finding the man on his inside. This is Mbutitu, and we know just how lethal he can be when he gets an inch of space. Months with an unsympathetic pass the wine Golo.
Just brilliant recovery defence from Ireland there. Brilliant break initially, but Ireland beat Fiji round the corner, and they get 3 people, so that as they look to sweep round down that same way side, they see a green wall in front of them. The initial play is really, really good. Ireland guilty of getting a dog leg in their defensive line. Do really well to hold on, but look how many green shirts get round to this corner.
Perfect. Okay, guys. Sam, let's go to your mark.
Yeah, all good, all good.
Guys, let's go.
I think it's McCluskey is the one that makes the bad read in the first place. He plays very high, thinking there's an intercept and maybe a score for him, but they played through the middle, and it's his error that he realises he needs to get himself back into a position, defensive position, does a good job of forcing the error.
So Dundiaki's afternoon is done. Perhaps time to put him on ice ahead of Australia's visit next weekend. So Caelan Doris, yes.
Hybrid player.
Set!
Shades of Eddie Jones.
Anything England can do with Ben Earl, Ireland can do with Caelan Doris.
Tell you what, that would be a good back row. Andy Farrell with eyes on both of them, probably, ahead of his Ireland onto British and Irish lines, sabbatical. But at last, we get the glorious sight of Juto Olo in space. His counterpart, Mbutitu, is hauled into touch, but just a glimpse at what Fiji might have threatened with today if they could have kept everyone on the park and strung together something slightly more cohesive.
Well, they started the game with a lot of the ball, didn't they? The possession stats are now 62% in Ireland's favour. And this is what we want to see, more of the Fijians ball in hand.
Played the ball as the call came in.
Get through a few phases where they can stress that Ireland defence.
The Nine's played it out. Time off.
It's actually Gus McCarthy who's gone into the back row.
Yeah.
Dundiaki leading the field, and now both of them to play off this line out. Doris alongside McCarthy in that midfield, bit of treatment going on.
Well, it's merely Duran Alangi, blindside for Fiji, receiving a little bit of treatment.
I'm not sure.
Oh, it's Elia Sanakayavata.
He'll be back on at 76.50.
Conor Murray is before our commentary position, hands on hips. He's out on the wing. Caelan Doris in the midfield before his trip to Monaco. He's up against a host of stars for the England Rugby Player of the Year accolade.
5-man. Ball through the mark.
What a shunt. Off the back of that one. 5 metres just inhaled there by Ireland. Casey onto McCluskey. So thrilled to have a run out. Spots in that Irish midfield, a collector's item with the talented generation he finds himself a part of. Well gathered there by Mbutitu. Matawalu's carry. Matavesi in and over it. Here is Mbutitu again. Up and over the top, the cut-out pass, leaving Prendergast with a tackle to make, and he just about manages it. Fits a somersault into the mix too. Ireland have it back. Oh, it's helter-skelter stuff. Things really breaking up in these dying minutes. Unsurprising, perhaps, given how out of position Ireland find themselves. How often has Caelan Doris defended in the midfield? Though, as I say that, he makes a tackle on Tuisue. Karawa Levu catches that one airborne.
Counter-up is good.
Counter-up is good, says the referee. I'd say more than that. I'd say it's great because they've won it back and now they've got the free hits. Hansen hunting for a hat-trick. Frawley to Prendergast, the two playmakers linking up neatly. Ball sits up. Oh, not quite. Stuart McCloskey.
Quality of those crossfield kicks have been really good in terms of keeping the trajectory really low, not allowing that final defender to get back out to the wing.
23 side entry when the counter-up is good.
And Fiji, an impressive effort from Josh Tuasova in the centre, who's probably one of the shining lights. I thought Caelan Doris had one of his really good performances as Ireland captain, but for me, head and shoulders above everyone else is Bundyaki. 17 carries for 176 metres. Everything he was involved in was positive. And for a guy that was left out last week, well, that's the ultimate response you want to give your coach. He says that he's over the hill at 34 years of age. I tell you, there's some playing left in this boy.
Let's go, guys.
He is a world-class basher, and it's been received in absolute ecstasy here in the Aviva, one of Connacht's and Dublin's favourite sons.
Yeah, good there. Thank you.
30 points the difference, 15 metres the ground to make up. Kelleher on to Prendergast, and Doris finding Kelleher again. It's straight off the training paddock. It's down.
A bit of offers from Matawalu sparked a bit of a brawl here. After Kelleher scored, he went in with his shoulder in the back. Casey takes offence to it. The two scrum halves go at it, and everyone else piles in.
Well, the result, a foregone conclusion before that one was jotted down. But things still boiling nicely at the Aviva.
Look like they're driving, don't they? But look at Kelleher.
Yeah, just got
paused, waiting on that touchline. All the Fijian eyes inward towards the maul, expecting the big drive. Doris bounces out, gets round the first defender, and that forces the last man to step in. And as soon as the Nakavita steps in, the pass is delivered, and Kelleher's going to slide over.
It's stupid. The scorer's dotted down, and he comes in with a little bit of afters. And Casey waiting for backup very quickly. Takes umbrage to it. A good score from Kelleher. Always nice to come off the bench, get on the score sheet, particularly when McCarthy's had such a good game in the number 2 jersey.
I'll speak to 9, okay? Thank you.
It is far from the end of their autumn that Fiji will have wanted, and that only compounds matters. But they will look back on 2024 as a vintage year. 7 wins out of 10. Their campaign will finish. Another Pacific Nations crown, a first ever win in Cardiff. And this man really finding his feet at rugby's top table. Looking right at home in the company of giants is Munce.
9. No more of the corner. No more. I've spoken to him as well. Thanks, Gordon.
Ireland too. Be delighted to have found some form this evening, because there is a stiffer challenge arriving on these shores next weekend. High-flying Wallabies outfit with the mastermind that they know so well, Joe Schmidt, back in Dublin. They want to finish with a flourish, but they find themselves on defensive duties. Fiji's ball up over the 10-metre line. Munce screaming for it. Tuasue obliges. Over the top, the dink from Kalara Levu. The chase is on. Murray just about gathers.
On the body, not on the ball. No hands, thank you.
So many bodies descending upon him. The clock is red. Prendergast will doff it into the stands. And to